Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association Village Board meeting. We're going to get started, excuse me, with a couple of administrative items. The first of which is to approve the minutes from the June 28th, 2022 meeting. And unlike that other time, I distinctly remember reading
So
those
moved.
minutes.
So moved. So
All right,
moved. Yeah,
we have a
yeah.
motion from Ginny.
That's
We
why I
have a
was.
second from Laura, from Warren. Any discussion of those minutes?
Somebody's got their hand up. Oh, no. Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I believe that is a 4-0-0, right? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. All right, next up is to approve the agenda for tonight's board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. I saw Warren's hand go first. I will take Warren as the motion. I'll take Ginny as the second. Any discussion of tonight's agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. All right, we are underway. First up, as with any other night, are resident remarks. So if you would like to make remarks, please raise your hand in Zoom and I'll call you in the order you raise them. And you will have up to 3 minutes to make remarks to the board. And I'm going to set up my timer here, which I always have a hard time finding because I don't know my alphabet. There we go. Yeah, I have all these apps. Where's clock? Well, they're alphabetical. It should be easy to find, right? But you know, I didn't go to school in Howard County. I went to school in Baltimore County. What can I say?
You young people that are so techno sophisticated, I am impressed.
I should just have an egg timer here. All right, it looks like we have Mr. Brunner for remarks. Is that what your hand is raised for?
Is he muted?
He
I'm
is.
still muted. Oh,
There you go.
okay, thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
we're ready when you
good
are.
evening. I'd like to offer some observations about the aging in place tax credit. And you may be aware that there was yet another revision to the law that the governor signed May 12th, which liberalizes the availability of that credit significantly over what it has been in the past. I think the need for senior tax relief is due to the expense of retiring in Maryland and in Howard County in particular. You may be aware that there are studies that show that Maryland is the highest state and most expensive state in which to retire. And I recently found out that as a percent of home value, Howard County real estate taxes are indeed the highest of any of the large counties in the state. And in fact, if you take our taxes, real estate taxes as a factor of value, we are a third higher than Montgomery County, which is rather impressive. Seniors that currently receive the aging in place tax credit face a 25% increase in the county tax, as well as the termination of the matching reduction of the CPRA. So all of a sudden, after you've been getting this credit for 5 years and it comes to an end, if you're not aware of it, your taxes go up rather significantly, and it can be a bit of an eye-opener. The state has enacted further liberalization of the parameters authorized by the enabling legislation for the aging in place tax cut. I think this is a recognition finally at the state level that high taxes are harming our seniors and driving many to leave the state and the county. And once they leave, their taxes are not available to pay for essential services like schools. Aging in place helps seniors stay healthy and active in the community longer and helps them to continue to contribute to our community. It saves them and us as taxpayers a significantly higher expenses incurred when people are compelled by circumstances to relocate to institutional settings. I'll give you an example of this. I think a number of you are aware that I'm on the board of the village in Howard. And one of our members died recently at the age of 97. She was blind, but thanks to the help she received, she was continuing to live independently up to the time of her death, and in essence at no expense to the taxpayer. Had she not been able to live independently, she would have had to have been institutionalized either in assisted living or skilled nursing facility ultimately at a cost to the county and the state in the order of tens of thousands of dollars a year. So we frequently hear that the county cannot afford to give somebody a $1,000 tax credit, but then we turn around and we pay for $30,000 or $40,000 to keep someone in a skilled facility. Thank you very much. I would hope that the board would take a position on trying to get the state or the county to expand its support of this program.
Thank you. You timed that very well. Ginny?
Well, I just wanted to correct one thing Peter said. A nursing home is about 10,000 a month to 12,000 a month. So you talk about 100 and some odd thousand if she had gone into a nursing home. It's a lot more. Of course, Medicaid pays a lower rate, that's true. But your point is well taken. I sent around a draft that Peter sent to me, to you guys, when you get a chance to read it. And it's a draft letter to the county executive, pretty much stating what he's stating here. There are 2 points on that letter. One, the duration of the tax should not terminate after 5 years. It should be made permanent. Well, here's the thing. People are getting the senior property tax credit. And after 5 years, they don't get it. What's the purpose of the credit? To encourage them to continue, to help them continue to live in the community. So it's a complete disconnect as to why you would discontinue it after 5 years. The other thing that concerns me is there are a lot of people, if they live in Columbia and are lien payers, they also get then a deduction from the CA taxes. So their taxes are going to go up in 2 ways, the county and the CA lien. And I think that's really going to cause some problems. The other thing is, I think the current law, Pete, requires that you live in a home for 40 years, the same home, right?
Yes, but it's being phased down to 35 years over a 3-year period.
Well, I thought it was 30 years, no? Or, I mean, does the county have flexibility there where they could say 30 years?
The new law gives the county a lot of flexibility. And in fact, Prince George's County last month enacted a new law reducing the time in a single home to 10 years.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm not suggesting that, but what I think in number 2, we're talking about a single home for 30 years. So you really have been established in the community. I support that. But the other thing that we have to remember is a senior may have a 4-bedroom house, 5-bedroom house, 3-bedroom, and they want to downsize and still live in Columbia lien paying land. Then they lose that benefit, or they just, it's got to be portable. You got to be able to say if you change the law to the county changes it to 30 years, it has to have portability in it so that you could live in the one home for say 25, and then you downsize, which is a benefit to you, especially if you need a 1-story house as opposed to stairs, etc. And yet then it's like, that doesn't count. That's ridiculous. You're still in the community. You're still in the county. So it's really ridiculous that you're not getting the benefit of the portability. So that's number 2 in the letter. I think portability is really, really important. I think we're cheating people. As for the cost, I think there seems to be confusion about what it is. I heard from the chief of staff in Annapolis of Senator Lamb that the reason they didn't do anything is the county didn't seem interested. So they're not going to be pushing something the county isn't asking for. And I don't understand that. And we've heard that. I don't know, Pete, you may have heard that from some legislators as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Specifically, actually, I specifically did hear it from Clarence and also from Senator Hester, who I had touched base with her on that to see whether or not there could be some further liberalization of the law. And it's fairly close to a quote. She said she touched base with the county government and the county had no appetite for it. Appetite was the actual word she used. So the county's not interested.
Yeah, and I
But
just.
it is an
find-
election year. They can be made interested.
Yeah, I just find that outrageous that they're not interested. And I think it's important. So that's what this draft letter you got. If you're interested in the issue and want to support it in terms of our seniors in Oakland Mills for both the county, and of course, if they get the county property tax deduction, then they just have to apply to CA, it's automatic. But right now, they're losing that as well. And I don't know what that amounts to on their property taxes, but I'm sure it's going to go over and not go over very well.
Ginny,
Yeah,
I don't know about everyone else. I sent a note back to you. I can't get that attachment to open. It's in some strange format. It's not like a Word doc. It's a .pages document or something. And everything I try, it says it's unrecognized and can't open.
That's weird. I sent it out as a Word document to you, Jenny.
Oh, Ginny, I think you muted I think you muted yourself.
sorry about that. I don't know whether my machine in saving it saved it as pages because I have an Apple.
Oh,
Yeah, or what happened, but what I'm gonna do is right away, take care of it. I'm gonna save it. Okay, I'm editing it, copying it, and put it in an email, okay?
sounds good.
Perfect, all right.
All right, thank you. Anyone else for remarks? All right, then we'll jump into old business. First up on old business was revisiting some new business from last time, and that was the process to select a new board member or members. And I guess I'll start with the question, Sandy, have we gotten any expressions of interest yet?
No.
Okay,
No.
maybe send out a reminder that we're still
Yeah,
looking.
it's on our homepage. I had it pinned most of the time to Facebook, but I can resend it tomorrow.
Okay, Sandy, I think your sound is goofy. Does anyone else think Sandy has a frog sitting on her computer or something?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
At this
it's not just me.
point, maybe I should leave.
Distorted.
I can leave maybe.
It's scary.
Yes.
All right. Well, while Sandy fixes that, assuming we do get some statements of interest from a board member, just to set it out there, basically the process past village boards that I've been on have followed are if we have just one or two people who express interest, we schedule some time with those two people as a board, as sort of an addendum to an open meeting because we're meeting as a board, and we interview them, and then we do during the board meeting we do a closed ballot, where we select, if it's one candidate, we select yay or nay for nominating them to the board. If it's a competitive nomination, we select the candidate we want to name to the board. Historically, if we had a lot of candidates, and by a lot I mean maybe three. I mean we've never had a flood of people coming in. We've sometimes formed like a little subcommittee of board members to vet those candidates and then bring the top two to the board. So that's what we've done in the past. Actually, what I would propose this time, especially since the applications aren't flooding in, is that maybe the whole board should make the time to meet with whatever number of candidates we get. And the reason I'm suggesting that is we're as small as we can be as a board right now. Our minimum size is 5, and we have 5 members. So really, to form a subcommittee, we can only have two board members, because once we have 3 board members, we have a quorum and we have a meeting anyway. So my thought was, let's just make it part of a meeting if we get some statements of interest, so that all 5 of us can just sit down and get to talk to the candidates and meet them. But that was my thought on it. After considering the size of the board we have right now, and now that I know how many candidates we have so far, I'm not expecting that this is going to take oodles of our time during a board meeting unless all of a sudden at the last minute 50 people decide they're interested. So those are my thoughts. Opening up for discussion.
I guess I'll start
did
going
look
door
up-
to door.
Oh.
Sorry.
Bill,
Yes, I agree with what you said, Jonathan. Right on. Thank you.
thanks. Sandy?
Am I still distorted?
Yeah,
Oh, darn. I don't
really
know what to do. And I'm trying to troubleshoot, and I can't. Our architectural guidelines say if we can't fill the committee, you can look at someone outside the committee. We really can fill the committee, so I don't know if we want to talk about that, if we get no one, if there's someone who wants to be in that position but not be a board member.
as the chair.
Yeah, I mean, it could be someone that served on the rack that has experience that would do it, and sit on the architecture committee, but not on the board. I don't know, it's just a thought.
I don't like that, but that's my personal opinion.
I'm okay with it.
Would there be any legal concern about that? That would be my only concern.
I'd have to run it by, I probably will, I can send you all the guidelines, and I probably could run it by CA because they appoint the majority of our committee.
So guidelines are just guidelines. I'd like to know if this is legal. I mean, I think this should go back to our legal documents, not guidelines.
No, it's the architectural bylaws. But I'll look at our legal documents at the composition of the architecture committee.
So I think that would take more discussion and also a process. For example, to serve on the board, we have to go through certain steps, right? We have to have our properties in compliance, things like that. I think we need to have the same expectations of someone if they're serving as the architecture chair. Quite honestly, what doesn't make sense to me is why would we would create a situation where the board sits as the architecture committee and we're going to bring someone from outside the board to chair the committee that we are. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
But I didn't even realize we could do something like that.
I will send you the architecture committee bylaws, just to have them anyway.
Bill?
We might find ourselves in a situation where push comes to shove and look at two alternatives. One is rotate board members as temporary chairs versus Sandy's proposed idea there. And we might say, hey, it's better to have somebody permanent full-time, isn't a board member, but is taking on that role versus sharing it among us. So hopefully we'll get somebody who will want to do it, but if not, we might be left with what Sandy suggested.
I think Rebecca has the most concern about this, right? Rebecca, your term starts pretty soon.
That is true.
What?
That's true.
August?
I'm nervous.
I thought you made that clear the last time. May, June, July is the end of
Yeah. Or I should say my husband's nervous with the extra time.
Rebecca's taking off August, September, and October.
I
From the
know,
board?
I know you think everyone thinks it's a lot of extra time, and Jerome's done it. I think once, whoever is next, who's next?
I am.
Okay. I mean, it's a good hour that you can devote to come in and meet with me and meet with Mike and go through the drill of what you need to know. I don't think it'll be as much time as anyone thinks it is, as much time. And I know exactly what it entails. So it's important for each of you as you're going into it to take an hour and meet with us. And I think that you'll have a much better comfort level at that point.
Yeah, remember, there's no requirement that the architecture chair attend those Thursday RAC meetings.
Not at all.
The RAC is an advisory committee and does not serve the architecture chair, and the architecture chair does not chair the RAC. It has its own chair. So once the architecture chair knows the rules, and I've done this when I'm substituting, I have not been able to attend every RAC meeting when I've filled in for past architecture chairs. You can just get the paperwork, review the paperwork. If you have any questions about it, you will today. Now it's Mike. In the past, it was other people. You reach out to Mike, have a conversation, and then you can either accept the RAC's recommendation or do your own thing. So there's a little bit of time where you have to read through some stuff, look at pictures, things like that. But you can certainly do it on your own time. You don't have to do it on the schedule of the RAC meeting on those Thursday nights.
Oh, yeah, not at all. And also we record the meetings. So if there's anything that you would like, oh, let me look this up or whatever, it's all on video.
So, Sandy, how much time does the architecture chair have to do, like in a week or a month?
Well, the applications are posted the week before a meeting. There's 2 meetings a month. So they're in a Google Docs format, and you could look at them, review them, and then there could be somewhere you want to drive by the house, you want to talk it over with Mike. And then after that, he'll send a summary after the meeting of what the RAC decided, whether they have provisions, they approve it or they don't approve it. And then the chairperson goes over that, having looked at the apps, and, sends back a note to Mike, like in a spreadsheet saying, agree, or I have a question about this. And so I probably think maybe it's, tell me if I'm wrong, Jerome, about an hour and a half of work for each meeting, twice a month. And then there'll be some meetings where there's not that many applications. So then it's less.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Okay, thanks.
The only
Thank
thing
you.
is during the summers when a lot of the applications come in because people are doing renovations and everything else. So I think the last meeting, like John said, you don't really have to attend all the meetings, but I've attended most of them just so I know what's going on. And I think this last one they just had was it 12?
Yeah, it was about, or more, yeah.
Yeah, so it's normally not more than that. And most of them go pretty fast because normally it's I want to cut a tree down or I want to put up a fence. So there's only, out of those 12, there's maybe only 1 or 2 that's really complicated. That's all I have.
Jenny has her hand up, and then I want to say one more thing.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Go ahead, Cindy, and then I'll.
What I want to say is we have an excellent RAC committee, a seasoned members. Lynn is on it, Kay is on it. They're both former AC chairs. David Smith is on it, who's chairing it, and he's been on it for a long time. So they really, I was at the last meeting online, and they take their time, and their decisions are very, very thoughtful and pretty much spot on. And I think Jerome will agree with that. So just know that as a comfort to you, that it's a RAC committee of long-time dedicated past AC chairs and volunteers.
Okay, I hate to break the bad news then, because Kay will not be on it.
Yeah, I know that. We have got 2 more though, in 3 more actually, Susan, Lynn, and 2 others.
My question was, is there anybody that is on the committee, especially if you've expanded it now, has been on the committee in the past that, or has been on the board in the past, that people just feel, hey, that would be a really good board member and chair. And if they only accepted this responsibility, they don't have to be dealing with all the other things the board deals with. Can we almost do a recruitment, like, hey, you'd love doing this, or I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how you reach out and encourage somebody. But never mind.
There would have to be someone who joined the board. So the current rack is 2 brand new members, and Lynn and Kay, who's moving, and David Smith. So. But yeah, I mean, if anyone has ideas for me to reach out to, let me know. I haven't come up with anyone.
Okay.
Well, I think we should also push out another communication, and maybe we can even be a little, I don't know, a little more lighthearted or amusing with it, like, hey, it's not so scary, reach out and talk to someone. We'll tell you all about it, so maybe something that makes it sound a little less daunting, because there was at least one person who reached out to me and said, so if someone's interested in the board, do they have to say they're interested in the architecture committee? And my response was, well, I would never say never or never say always, but that we need someone to fill that position. So, that's one of the primary needs we discussed when we said we were going to go out and try to recruit new board members.
Yeah. We don't want to lose current board members because they've been asked to do that, maybe that won't happen, I hope, but anyway. Okay.
All right. Any other thoughts, discussion? Okay. And obviously, and Sandy, I forget what the deadline was, but we can.
Yeah, I mean, it was
extend
based
that.
on wanting to know before this meeting. So now it'll be
Yeah.
based on, we're not even meeting in the end of July.
Yeah, we're taking 4 weeks off, right? Yeah.
So you're telling me I'm not going to get out of it this time.
Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
There could be someone silently in the wings.
We're not meeting again, so.
Well, the rack still meets.
Yeah, but we aren't, so we can't elect somebody to it. To be the chair.
Oh, that's true.
Well, technically, I don't know my timing. Technically, maybe if we had someone and got it scheduled that first meeting in August.
Oh, okay. So you're saying there's hope.
Yeah, so you're saying there's a chance.
Never give up.
Well, Rebecca, you need to get out there and recruit.
I'm going to start going door to door tomorrow with zucchini bread in hand.
Oh.
I'll try to nudge a few people, but I don't know. Everyone I've ever tried to nudge just goes, eh. We like having you there. You take care of things. All right. Anything else on that? All right. Other piece of new business, update on the 7-Eleven site. So we have learned that the FDP for the 7-Eleven site actually does not allow for a gas station, despite that, a gas station formerly being there. The attorneys for the 7-Eleven don't know how the old gas station had that, but things have changed in the county, and the current site, as it's written, doesn't allow that. So the 7-Eleven is going to be on the agenda for the planning board on the 21st. And up for consideration would be a modification of that FDP to allow the gas station. And this is very late breaking news. We put the update on the agenda just in case something happened, because we had heard from the attorney that there could be something this summer. And just today he said the 21st. So, that's, what is that, next Thursday? It'll be on the planning board. So, my recommendation would be that we write and submit some testimony to the planning board in favor of, the 7-Eleven and the gas station and the car wash, just as we approved it from an architectural perspective. And my suggestion, my suggestion would be just to sauce it up a little bit, we add some language to that testimony, just indicating how long that lot has otherwise sat vacant and how long that lot could potentially continue to stay vacant if 7-Eleven isn't allowed to carry out their full business plan and business model for that lot. Bill?
I agree with you, Jonathan, and I think a key item is that lot's been vacant for at least 20 years. And for those who might not like gas being pumped there and stored there, do you want another 20 years of the vacant lot? Okay, plus all the positives with 7-Eleven in terms of the services it offers, plus the architecture that they're bringing there will certainly be first class. So I think your idea on the letter is excellent. And I think it is important to put in there how long it's been vacant. Many people in the community might not know that. And to know that that lot's been vacant for 20 years, I feel puts the whole situation in a different perspective. Thanks.
Okay, Ginny, and then Jerome, and then Rebecca.
Actually, that was one of the questions I asked a year ago, is whether it was legal or not. So the lawyer had said, yes, it is. So this is interesting. But I guess what I'm asking is, has the developer considered whether they really need a gas station to succeed? Do they see that as a draw, even if it doesn't make much money, but people then stop and go in and get coffee or something like that? That's question one. In terms of it being legal, did they say anything about, we have in the county new regulations regarding a new gas station, which what I hear you say is that's what this is being considered. It's not grandfathered in.
Yeah, it's from 2016. The
Yes,
new, yeah.
So those regulations say, certain things about distance, et cetera. Has anybody looked at it to make sure that there's not going to be a problem with that? The distance from another gas station, et cetera.
I think that's what the whole discussion will be at the planning board,
Well,
based on those.
I think you can make an exception to that, can you?
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
not a
think it's, I mean,
lawyer.
we can ask the lawyer for the developer. They didn't cite an issue with distance. They cited an issue with the FDP for that piece of land, and the fact that the county extended some, zoning regulations that previously didn't apply to Newtown, I guess back in 2000, was it 2016?
2016.
The gas station regulations you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big controversial thing and the council passed it. I thought it was the county council that actually did that, but I wouldn't swear to it. But it took a considerable period of time, a lot of input, et cetera, to work out what those regs should be. It started with Royal Farm across from the Exxon.
So here's the language from the attorney, and this is really all we know. The existing FDP does not expressly permit gas stations, so we need to add this as a permitted use.
So he's strictly dealing with the FDP.
The FDP amendment adds, when the council, so in 2016, the council made section 131.0 something of the zoning regulations governing motor vehicle fueling facilities applicable throughout the entire county, including Newtown. The FTP amendment adds motor vehicle fueling facilities as a permitted use and provides criteria for approval. So there is a path to approval from what I'm reading from the lawyer's legalese.
But that's the FDP. Did they say anything about the regulations regarding location of a gas station? They're not saying that's an issue then.
No,
Or
I would say let's take it back to the root. I would say from the village board position, let the lawyers figure that out. I think we should determine whether we're going to take a position in support of this business that finally wants to move in after, I think it's more than 20 years, Bill. I moved here 20 years ago and that was already paved over. So I don't know when they tore down the structures, but the structures were already gone when I moved here. I'm lying. It wasn't 20 years ago. I moved here 19 years and 11 months ago. In August, it'll be 20 years, and that was already completely paved over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would let the people who know the law work out the legalese on this. You know, that really the question that Sandy posed back to the attorney for the developer is, you know, what would it be helpful to have a position, and you know, the attorney said yes, that could be helpful.
And we've already taken a position, I mean, at the board level and the AC level by improving the plans.
Other thoughts, questions? I can draft something up and circulate it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yep, Rebecca.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to do it proper because I always just talk. I needed some convincing. When this first came up, Lynn and I both had concerns about the gas station and the design of it, not encouraging pedestrians to walk to the village center and having all those cars coming around there and how they were designing it. So I totally understand wanting something there, but I'm not convinced yet. I need to think on it more.
So this isn't design anymore. This is the nature of the business on the lot.
Exactly. But the thing with the design is that Lynn and I found out that there was no other way. They could not design it to be more, I don't know, encouraging of pedestrians into the village center. They had to have the gas pumps right out front along, you know, the block where we'd want people to look and say, ooh, I want to walk there. And so I guess, yeah. So now that's coming back up. With that, we now have a possibility to change it, because before we didn't have any say in it. It was, you know,
We can't change the design.
We don't have a possibility to change the design. It's whether the business happens or it doesn't at this point.
Exactly. Before, we didn't even have a possibility of changing where they put their gas pumps. But now we have the possibility of preventing them, period. So I'm not saying I want to speak out against it. I'm just not sure I'm ready to encourage it.
All right, well, we're in one of those situations where we have to come to a decision tonight if we're going to take a position, because it's next week. And we just learned about it today, unfortunately. Fortunately, this is old business since we've already discussed this property. But yeah, we don't have the luxury of time on this one. So if we want to discuss a little more now, I know we originally didn't allot a lot of time because we didn't know that we would have much to discuss. But then the lawyer came back. When was it? I was on the train reading it today, Sandy. So it was sometime this afternoon saying, hey, they scheduled us for the 21st. You know, here's the issue. Bill?
Yes, just by way of history, over the 20 some years it's been vacant. There was a developer, I think it was Jeff Kirby, who looked at potentially building, I think, a residential structure there. Prior to him, there was another developer looking at an office building that the county would lease space in. And prior to that, when I was on the village board the first time, 1999 to 2003, Dave Hatch, the chair at that time, said, Bill, what about indoor soccer there? Do you know contacts? Go after it. And I said, sure. So I talked with a fellow who runs the soccer dome over off of Route 1. He hadn't built a soccer dome then. I talked to him about the lot. He came out with his dad, looked at the lot, liked it, talked with, I forget the gentleman's name, who was a director at Kimco, Kevin Allen, maybe, and got those two talking about the structure, the lease, timing, cost, etc. And Kimco and the soccer dome leader agreed on the size, space, the lease fees, et cetera, et cetera. The one issue that prevented a soccer dome from going in there was that the soccer dome wouldn't be ready until the spring. And that is a high expense, low income time for indoor soccer. The indoor soccer people wanted it ready like August, so they'd be ready for the fall and then the indoor season during the winter, so they'd be able to get a lot of revenue up front. And that's what scuttled the deal, was the timing. And so the soccer dome folks then got into a lease arrangement that they have now over on, I think it's Montevideo Road off of Route 1. So we've tried 3 very serious efforts with developers to do something there, and nothing's materialized. And that's, given that history, that's why I'm very much for, hey, I don't want a vacant lot for the next 20 years. And if we have to give a little in the eyes of some people who don't want gasoline in there, I think it's better with the 7-Eleven with gasoline than it is with a vacant lot. And 7-Eleven, since they're going in with the plans initially for the gas pumps, see that as a draw to get other customers in there. You fill your gas tank and then you go inside and buy other things. It's a major attraction now. And even the old Exxon station down at the bottom of Stevens Forest Road, they've kind of converted as much as they can the inside of their shop to have, a 7-Eleven type eats there that you can buy, and coffee, et cetera. And your 7-Eleven over on Snowden River Parkway is the high end of car care and people care all in one lot. So I feel that for those who might not want the gas, I think it's important to look at history and then consider the compromise. Thanks.
All right, anyone else? Warren?
Yeah, I've always been pretty much against the gasoline. I think, however, I've also been very, to have a 20+ year vacancy is an eyesore. And that's really, I'm really torn about my support on this, because as you all know, I'm pro bikes and pedestrian and that sort of thing. Yeah, this is quite a dilemma for me. And I don't really know how I would end up with this. But I know it would be very good for the village to have that in the short term, at least, to have the 7-Eleven. I think I didn't have a chance to vote on it. I think this was 2 years ago that the board approved this, before I was on the board. Is that
I
correct?
think it was less
It was
than that,
last year.
because last summer, I
last
feel
year?
like we were going over the plans.
Oh, maybe
We didn't vote on anything. We just had them in to discuss. It went to
Right.
the rack or the whatever.
Well, it went to the
Commercial.
non-residential committee, and then it was signed off on by the
Lynn would have signed off
architecture
on it.
committee on
Yeah.
behalf of the board. But the plans were shared with everyone.
Okay.
They have prototypes for their lots, and I mean, down to where they want ingress and egress, and not just even the positioning, where they want their sign, what landscaping. So we did bring it up. That was one of the points we brought up, was could they reconfigure the site, just as you asked? And that was not an option.
It doesn't fit their 7-Eleven mold.
Right. I mean, and they would sooner leave than change a site, basically, at this point, sadly. We had that with the Walgreens. I mean, Walgreens did a lot to blend into our community, but if they didn't get access from Thunder Hill Road, they would have just left. So, as much as we weren't thrilled about that, we did want that site to be activated.
Yeah, I'm looking at the email traffic on 7-Eleven, and I'm having trouble finding exactly when.
I can do it, Jonathan.
Well, no, it's okay. It was, yeah, it was actually, it was last summer into fall, because I have an email from their attorney from October 1st of last year, saying that they were expecting the final revised exhibits any day now, because that's what they were bringing to the NRAC and the board. So it was sometime in the in the fall of 21?
I go back to like right before the election, Warren, in 2021, we started hearing from them, and then more heavily in the summer and fall.
Okay. I kind of like Ginny's suggestion that we ask them if they would be willing to do it without if we could find that out without the gas. But it sounds like from what Jonathan and Sandy say, that's not going to
And
happen.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the word back from their attorney is it would be very helpful to have supporters testify to add, motor vehicle fueling facility. So, we're not talking directly to the developer, we're talking to their attorney, but, their attorney and representing them says that basically that's what they want. Because that's what drives more traffic into the convenience store. Without that, they'll get, some neighborhood walk-up traffic or whatever, but that's, as I think Bill was saying, that's the, that's kind of the modern model. You don't see many standalone convenience stores anymore. They all, they're all attached to gas pumps.
Well, that's something else though. We already have a convenience store in Oakland Mills. What is it? Sam's Mart?
yeah, we had 3 pizza stores too. I mean, they know what's in the
Yeah.
community.
And I guess I would also be afraid of replacing a locally owned small business of Sam's Mart. I don't know anything about them, but it's not a chain, with a 7-Eleven chain. That seems unfair. The pizza places, I would have been upset if Little Caesars had come in after, Pizza Man instead of the reverse.
Well,
I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I need more time. I can't.
I might get in trouble for saying this, but the lot as it stands has been locally owned for years, and it's been nothing but a drag on the community.
I get that. I get that.
I mean, it's been an eyesore. It takes up hours of covenant time every year, because every year we have to do something because they stop mowing or they stop, their poles fall down or whatever. It's become a truck parking lot. It's, there's who knows what else going on there. And, in 20 years, no one from the local community has stepped up with the kind of funding it takes to develop something there. So, unfortunately, I think it's easy to attract kind of a local business into an existing building, but when you also have to incur the cost of acquiring the land and developing the land, it just prices the local people out.
Yeah, I mean, all your reasonings are good. I'm not going to be able to decide
Yeah.
tonight.
And the planning board does listen to the villages. The planning board, I've been to meetings before, and they do want to know what the local community feels. And in Columbia, that usually means via the village board. All right, well, since we have to do something, does somebody want to make a motion, and then I can call a vote? Because we have to come, I mean, I understand the struggle with coming to a decision tonight, but we don't have another board meeting before the planning board hearing.
Why do we have to do something? Isn't it? We were just talking about sending a letter of support.
Right. But if we're not all in consensus on sending a letter of support, I want to know if anyone wants to take a vote to see if we at least have a majority.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I don't want to just say, all right, I'll send the letter, even though everyone's undecided. I want to make sure a majority of us want to do that. I mean, normally we don't have to vote on a matter like this because it's really not our our business, right? It's not our finances, but when we're unsure about whether we have consensus on a position, this would solidify it one way or the other. Sorry, Bill, you've had your hand up.
I move that we write a letter of support for the 7-Eleven amendments to the final development plan.
Okay, is there a second to that? Okay, we have a second from Jerome. All right, any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, oppose? 1, 2, okay, 3-2. All right, I will draft something up and circulate it. And then we can submit it to the planning board on the 21st.
Jonathan, one quick thing.
Yes.
You said this was old business, but we haven't talked about this before. I mean, we've talked about the gas station in general, but we haven't talked about this specific issue. Otherwise, we could have been prepared to do a vote on it. So that's, I know timeliness, but just, it's not fair to call a vote on a new thing.
Okay, well, does anyone want to make a motion to waive the standard because we have a a timeline that doesn't align with our board meetings? We can do a do-over. Bill?
Yes, my take is that we did discuss the 7-Eleven before. We had the presentation from the lawyer and the 7-Eleven folks. And in there were all the gas pumps as part of that discussion. So that we did have an initial new business about the entirety of what they're asking for. I don't think that the gas pumps is new business, number one. Number two, I think that there are times when we're going to get caught with shorter deadlines than what we might particularly like to have. But because of other deadlines, we have to take immediate action. And so I have no problem with what we've done tonight. It's old business, and we did take a vote.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify everything, we put this on as old business when we formed this agenda, a week ago, because we thought it was 5 minutes. We thought it would just be a quick update to say, here's where it is in the process, because the lawyer said we might be hearing something. We did not anticipate that there would be this issue. That was the news today when the lawyer emailed and said, yeah, we're on for the 21st. By the way, we have the issue. And as Bill said, we'd already considered this in its entirety. The board had already approved it, which is why we considered, the update old business when we set the agenda.
Yeah, I disagree, because when we talked about it before, we were talking about the design. It wasn't the existence. We didn't have that freedom then. So
well, we don't have that now. We
We
don't get to determine whether it exists. We just get to determine whether we want to go on record with the planning board.
Yeah, I get it. But just on the record, I don't agree that it was okay that we voted on it.
All right, how does everyone else feel?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Hey,
All right,
Jonathan,
and I know,
I
know, I'm sorry, I was going to say to address Rebecca, I know we've made a couple of attempts in the past to try to revise the board standards and they haven't gone so well. But one thing this board is still missing is any clear way of dealing with these situations that just pop up outside the schedule of our board meetings. And it happens several times a year. Mrs. Thompson just joined us. It happened a few times several years ago with the rebuild of Talbot Springs, where we, found out on the night of a board meeting that the county was maybe not going to fund it, and we had to take quick action. So we still probably do need some process for dealing with this, because we always seem to end up in these situations, 3 or 4 times a board year, where what we thought was a done deal or what we thought was just as an update turns into something else. Literally, it's happened on the day of the board meeting a couple of times. With Talbot Springs, the strangest thing was it happened on the day that the that the architects were coming in to present the plans for the school to the community. They were literally presenting to us while the superintendent was saying, we may need to pull this project. We don't have enough money. So I would say the board still needs further discussion about how to handle these situations going forward. Given that our board standards don't always fit every situation we're facing.
And Jonathan, yes, I did join your meeting. I intended to send an email ahead of time. Hello, everybody. I'm Nancy Thompson, the
Hi,
principal of Upper
Nancy.
Green Elementary School. I'm so happy to see you all. I'm just here. Again, I had planned to send an email and then I forgot. It's crazy right now, but I just hope that you can send out a message for me to the community with my apologies, number one, for the noise and the traffic right now on Basket Ring and on Whiteacre Road. With the demolition of the former building and the millwork that's going on at the front of the building, it's loud and I suspect disruptive to many in the community, from Thunderhill Road to fully down Whiteacre Road, fully down Basket Ring Road. So I think about this every day and I apologize deeply for the fact that this is happening, but I pray that the outcome of this hard fought for project will bring some additional value to what we all know and love about the Oakland Mills community. So that's what I wanted to share this evening. I'm so appreciative of everybody's patience and advocacy. It's been a rough road, as many of you know. I've been a principal at that school now. This will be my 16th year coming up. And it's just, I know, Sandy, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Did you say
Time
60?
flies. Yes, time flies. I would have said 10, but who knows?
Yeah. Nancy, did you say 60th year?
16. 16.
Oh, I'm kidding. I thought you were there when the first one opened. Never mind.
Leave it to you. I think you're
Just
the
shortly
only.
after I was born, pretty much.
Leave it to you. And I'm not knocking the other principals of Howard County, but I think you are the only principal in Howard County who would show up at a village board meeting to apologize for the slight inconvenience the construction of a new school might be presenting. And I can honestly tell you this because we hear a lot of complaints. And unless Sandy hasn't shared something
I've
with
not
me,
heard a word.
we've not heard
Nancy,
a
I was going to say
single
that.
complaint about
Nothing.
anything that's going on over there at Basket Ring and Whiteacre.
Nothing.
I think everyone is so thrilled to see that going up that they are willing to deal with noise and dust and anything else going on.
I do appreciate hearing that, Sandy and Jonathan. Part of the noise right now is the Holly Court community raised some concerns about the building. And so the county agreed at a huge cost to Howard County Schools to lower the facility by about 5 feet. So the new building is about 5 feet below grade of the current building. So the millwork that is going on in front of the new building is to get down to that level, because that's where our bus loop is. And then we've got to, when all the debris from the demolished building is removed, all of that area has to be sloped and have bioponds put in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so that our fields have good drainage. And there's good drainage as you head down to the low points, which are at Hollyport. So long story short, it's a huge project. It's currently extremely noisy and disruptive to the community. Certainly my school staff, the last few days of school were hard for us. There were a lot of tears. But there's a lot of hope moving forward as well. So anyway, I apologize for disrupting your meeting tonight. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I was supposed to send an email today and I forgot.
It's nice to see you.
Yes,
I'm hoping
thank you.
to get a date soon for when the ribbon cutting, I'm working on about that, the opening. I first have to attend to getting our students oriented to the building. Some kids are actually a little afraid of the big behemoth building. They're afraid they're going to get lost. It's so big. It's 30,000 feet bigger. One child wrote a poem that personified being the former building and how sad it felt being destroyed because of the memories. So
Oh,
it's been a bit of a journey for us, but I hope that the school administration will be over in there by the first week of August, and that we'll be able to get staff in as soon as the 15th, and then I can get the orientations moving through. We'll schedule tours at back to school night as well. So, I'm doing everything I can to get the community in and to be part of this. I'll keep you all posted. Thank you for the little free library, all of you. Very excited. I was able to order one that will be very sustainable for a long time. So anyway,
great.
that's my story. I apologize for interrupting your meeting, but please express my thanks to the immediate community for maybe not welcoming, but putting up with the disruption that it's certainly causing on those 3 roads.
We will, right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan?
Ginny?
Yeah, quick question. Nancy,
Mhm.
still there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Okay. Is the building totally demolished? The reason I'm asking, I thought of this a couple of weeks ago and I meant to call Jonathan and Sandy. Is there any part of the building that maybe Oakland Mills Village Board or, village should preserve or maybe be able to put in the barn and with pictures of the old building, or I don't know if you would take these photos as it's being knocked down, et cetera, something that sort of sees the new and the old picture. So when people walk into the barn, they can see that and maybe a brick or something like that. The second statement is, don't worry about the complaints and all that. We're giving out your personal home phone numbers.
Thanks for that, Ginny. I appreciate that so much. In response to your first question, so many have asked for bricks or this or that. So Al Romack, who's actually as many of you probably know, Al and his family, they're actually in the village of Owen Brown, but he had asked for parts of the gym floor to create a bench, and that was turned down. I'm not sure. I could probably secure a few bricks because we are still in a demolished state. I will be over there Friday morning at 9 for something else anyway. I can ask the construction manager for that. We do have photographs. The school system photographer was out. I think it was one day late last week. If any of you knows, we had 2 huge murals at the back of the building, one of the life cycle of butterfly, one of the solar system. So we did photograph those, and we're preserving those as either prints or canvas prints. I haven't decided yet. And we created a massive mosaic, and I can share the photo with you, Sandy and Jonathan, through your emails. But we had every current staff member and student create, it's just like a square, what do you call it, like maybe a 4x4 square bathroom tile, and everybody made their own tile. My art teachers were careful about the shading on the tiles, but basically it creates a mural of hands holding a heart, and that is already up in the cafeteria as kind of a transitional piece between the 2 schools, because I know our 5th graders were pretty sad about not being a part of this. I mean, they've been there through the whole fight, through the whole process, but so that mural is up already on the wall. We had a mural of Pete the cat that we had made one point that is already up in the new building. We made a mural of we had a couple of mosaics of that the kids had made of a couple of wild things in memory of our assistant principal who passed away in 2016. So we've done a lot to try to bridge from one school to the next. So it's hard to say, Jenny, what all I could contribute to this, a display at Oakland Mills, but I can continue to think about it.
Yeah,
Jenny?
May not even be a good idea. Jonathan and Sandy can decide. Okay.
Ginny, meet me on Basket Ring Road right after this meeting and wear dark clothing.
Bill is all in it. I just say Bill should come up in one of his running suits and join you guys. Pick the orange one, Bill, please.
Orange, it's green. What's
No, he needs a bright orange one for this event.
I'll have to work on it. I don't have any.
Amy, did you have a question?
I'm not a question. I just wanted to say, because 3 of my kids went to TSES just for a year before we had to move in different schools. But I've been driving them by to show them the progress. And I mean, they're sad to see the old school go, but they remember what it was like. One of them was back in the trailers, and the other ones, they remember, you know, how loud it was and stuff. So they're very excited for the students and for the new school. So happy things for them.
Thanks for that, Amy. I appreciate that. I think our current this year's students and staff members, it's the memories that catch you. You know, it's the love, it's the care, it's the kids. So we'll move on. We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. And if there's, you know, you said you were going to draft an email. If there are some words you would like us to send on your behalf, please still send it.
Yeah, that would be
because, you know,
good.
we can put it out beyond the TSES community. It'll go to anyone who's subscribed to our listserv and, you know, our social media.
Okay, that would be great. Because, you know, every day I drive by there and there's trucks 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 and there's
Yeah.
no. So, all right, thank you
No,
all.
we appreciate it. Like I said, I don't think we've ever had anyone stop by, you know, concerned about what their facility is doing to the community. So it is very much appreciated, and I can assure you we've heard no complaints.
That's great to hear. I don't know if you'd hear complaints though from those who live right there. I mean, they're just, many of them are non-English speaking, or are not social media savvy. So anyway, thank you guys so much.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it. And thank you all for continuing to support Talbot Springs.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna check out. Have a good rest of your meeting.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was an unexpected visit. Okay, moving on. Board chair report. I'll make this fast. Village Center, the NYC Pizza. I did reach out to Cedar, even though they're in the process of selling the Village Center. I have no idea what staff they're, you know, the new owner's keeping on or not, but it's still in Cedar's hands. I did reach out to see if Cedar could give me more information on the NYC Pizza situation, because the owner stopped responding to me. And unfortunately, something I learned from a couple of residents over the weekend is apparently after the physical business itself closed its doors, the online ordering system was still up. So some people ordered pizzas and paid for them, and then went to pick them up and found a closed business. And, you know, they didn't get their money back or anything. So I did mention, hey, you know, to Cedar, hey, this also happened. It would be, you know, not that Cedar's responsible for this, but it would be very helpful to know what's going on there. Like, are they ever opening up, you know, or are you looking to lease that space? What are they closed for good? What's happening? So no response back from that yet. Ginny, I haven't received a response back from Lakey or anyone on the staff about the scooter email that I sent to the board and then forwarded on to her after the last board meeting. Unfortunately, this is all like no response news. Warren's not here, so I should have asked him before he left. I haven't seen anything, and I doubt Warren has, or he probably would have shared it on the what we sent to the county about Stevens Forest Road, and specifically about that Kilimanjaro and Stevens Forest intersection. The county did come out and repaint the crosswalks, but that's part of their, you know, usual maintenance program. They were worn out, but, you know, nothing about putting in I always forget the terminology, the delay on the walk signal, or, you know, doing anything else to protect walkers and bikers there. We did hear back from Ashley, and she was here earlier, I don't see her now, saying that they were working with the county executive's office on getting back to us on the note we sent about the the loss of Little Caesars and where we are on progress toward maybe getting some signage at Blandair to, direct people into our village center rather than away from our village center during and after events. So those are all the updates I have. Oh, Safa's here. Hi, Safa. Did you have an update for us on one of those items?
Yeah, I just wanted to update real quick that we are still working on the signage at Blandair Park with Rec and Parks. I think they're looking at to see what they can do and what would be a feasible location to get signage there, but that is something that they are interested in looking further into.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and then I need to follow up about for the signal, the walk signal, was that a separate concern than just the crosswalks?
So
It was the
this,
whole street.
yeah,
Okay.
that intersection specifically, this goes back to when we had a bike rider and a child pedestrian both hit by cars within the same week. And one of the recommendations from talking to Chris Etal and others was to put I think it's called a lead delay on that signal, so that when basically when the opposing traffic signal goes green, well, when right now when the crosswalk goes to walk, the signal in the same direction goes green at the same time, so right turning cars can immediately turn right. And one of the suggestions was put a delay so that when either of those crossing signals goes to walk, all the lights stay red, for at least a few seconds, so that people can start out into the crosswalk rather than, the people start moving at the same time the cars start moving.
Okay.
I hope I described that well. I'm picturing it in my mind.
Yeah,
no,
I
that's
don't
you
know
know,
good.
whether I
I
described
actually
that well.
cross that intersection every day on my morning to work
Okay.
because that Dunkin', I'm telling you, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. But so I know exactly what you mean and what you're talking about. Let me
Okay.
follow up with Chris as well on that.
All right. And there were some other, there were some other ideas we put in that letter about making the no turn on red sign more visible, because it is hard to see after dark and at dawn and dusk, like when, most of the year when school is letting in, and sometimes when school is letting out during the shortest days of the year. We can, if you want, we can dig that up and send it to you, so you just have everything we've already sent.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be helpful because I know that I've been trying to cross off the list one by one.
Okay.
So if everything is in one place, I can send it all to everyone in one email and get it all out.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, that's everything I had, unless there are any questions for me. Otherwise, I'll send it over to Ginny.
Sorry. Thanks, Jonathan. Couple of things. If you still haven't gotten a response back, I'd really appreciate it. You'd send something, you did CC the whole board, I believe, on that. But if you do it again and just say, sorry, I still haven't gotten, never mind, sorry. Where I still haven't gotten a response. Because there are more and more, unfortunately, concerns about this. And I'm hearing this from people in other villages as well. And I think I said one of my concerns that I'm trying to get information on is if it's on CA open space and CA picks them up, is the owner paying for that, or are we paying for it, the CA lien payers? So I just want to know what's in the contract. So we need to spend more time on that, but just do me a favor and send it to the board so the board's aware that you're not getting a response. I think that's important. The second thing is Lake Elkhorn has been added, the subcommittee on Lake Elkhorn, Brian England. I don't know how many of you know him, but he's the chair of it. And his report has been added to the agenda last Monday. And that'll be a brief report, but there's certain things that Brian is trying to make sure happen, and that's transparency. Wants any reports posted on our website. So there's things like that he's asking for, the timeline. What his committee is trying to do is they've sent a list to Ms. Boyd, and he's going to be talking about it more tomorrow night, of things that we feel the public, I'm on that committee as well, public has a right to information. It's not taking a position one way or the other on the project, but just really trying to make sure you know what the timeline is, so that if you wanted to intervene, you can do it in a timely fashion. It's been very frustrating trying to find out when can you do what, who's doing what. So all of that is Brian's committee is trying to make sure is up on our website and available, and he'll be talking about that tomorrow. He's very, very much interested in environmental issues and land use. He's excellent. The other thing is the budget process, and we just got this, but there's no backup material. And Cindy, I don't know if you could do a favor here and maybe just send this out. I'll try and save it and send it to you and see if that'll work, Sandy. I'll do that tonight. But I don't know what it's going to look like if I do it, but I will do that tonight.
Is it what was in the board packet for your meeting?
Yeah.
So why don't I just send a link to the packet and they can find it?
Right. All right. It would be,
You have to send the whole link. You can't just send part of it.
oh, no, I know. Okay. Number 4, C on the budget for 20 minutes budget schedule for FY24 budget. I'm particularly interested in what is meant by community and village survey. You know, I want to learn more about that Thursday night. Online engagement focused on priorities. What does that mean? And that's going to be in August. So we need to know more about that because, and board discussion focused on, well, strategic objectives, but staff analyzes in, I think it's October, looks like it. No, September. Community village inputs. Well, what's the process for the community and the village to have input? You know, and what do you think about that process? Village engagement. What does that mean? Capital allocations, how are you being engaged in that? So I don't have answers. They're just, if you look at this page that we're, Sandy and I are talking about, it's just lines and approximate dates when it would be done, completed or whatever. And there's no backup material to this. So we'll be getting a briefing on it tomorrow. And that's where we'll be able to ask more questions and ask what is the process? What are you going to do? And then I'm interested in whether the village board, you guys and other boards really think that's a good process so you have a better idea. So I'll be talking about that more, probably by email since you're not meeting again. And I don't want to wait till August, okay? What else? Oh, the senior tax credit. I don't know whether this board wants to take a position or not. That draft letter is Peter's draft letter. But I think there is just no excuse for this county when you get a chance to read that letter. And I cut and pasted in an email so you can see it better. But there's just no excuse for what the county is doing. They can't say one thing and then it expires. They also have to allow portability. So if you want to take a position, again, you're not meeting in July. So Jonathan, I don't know, and board members, I don't know what you want to do, but it would be to the county executive saying like, this is a serious issue and Prince George's is doing something. The governor and the legislature allowing the counties to do something, and why is Howard County not doing anything? So it's really up to you, but it's a pretty good letter that Peter drafted, so I won't read the whole thing.
So, Jenny, before you move on from that, dare I ask this? Is there a serious time sensitivity to this, or is this something that the board can absorb and then discuss when we meet again in August?
Which issue? The last one?
The senior tax credit.
Oh, yeah, you can do
I mean,
it.
we're into a fiscal year, so I'm assuming it's not something that needs immediate action, right?
Well, it needed action. It needed action during the budget process for the county. And it didn't get it. So this is like people that want to get the county executive to reconsider the fact that nothing was done. It's more of an advocacy position. So August is plenty of time. you know, to do something, and it may even be better because you could get more people knowing what's going on.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't, I wanted to make sure it wasn't a situation where, you know, if
No, there's no
if the county
legislation.
doesn't make a decision by the end of July, then the credit goes away for the next year and you don't get to revisit it again until next year or something like that.
Well, actually, the credit has gone away for
Right,
people.
okay.
It's gone, and the same with the CA, it's gone. So it's a matter of these changes and introducing it, and then automatically, then you'd be grandfathering in the extension of the 5 years would no longer be the limit. But, you know, it's more to put pressure on the county executive to say, this isn't even logical when you say you're trying to help people remain in their own homes, and then you cut it off after an arbitrary and capricious number of years. It's like, duh. And when you also don't allow for downsizing, which is healthier, then, you know, it's much healthier to downsize and then have the bigger house available for families in terms of a school system, et cetera, and not to allow for that, the portability part, which you can do under what the governor did and what the state legislature did. But the county has, they've been talked to, but have chosen to not deal with this issue. So it's a matter of, can we get the county executive to change his mind, and the council. But I think if the county executive took a leadership role and filed something, hopefully he'd get 3 votes on the county council. And then, you know, yes, it would be making it retroactive. But August is plenty of time. And if you have questions, you know, let me know in terms of reading the letter and what you think. And that's, I think there's some questions in the chat that looks like we're coming across.
Oh,
Sure.
Safa was just asking if by the senior tax credit, we mean the aging in place, and yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Just because there's 2 different tax credits. There's the senior tax credit and there's the aging in place.
Well, I don't know if you know that with the property tax, senior property tax credit, that also then people that are lien payers in Columbia also get a CA deduction that they've lost as well. I don't know if you know that.
And that's with the senior tax credit, not the aging in place.
So according to the letter you shared,
Yeah.
Ginny, it's the aging in place.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a number on, no, there's no number on the bill that the governor introduced, and sorry, there's no number on the bill that passed, if that's what you're asking for, but it's an aging in place tax credit that allows residents to retain a level of, well, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, that's what I want to clarify. I just put in the chat all our tax credits, and it explains the difference between the 2.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You know, if you want, I can share this letter with you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, I think I have your email. Okay. Yeah. But I know the county's well aware of this whole issue. They just, Prince George's apparently has done something. Actually, they went to an extreme, if I understand it, went to 10 years. I think that's too low, is my personal opinion. You know, 30 years, okay, but 10 years, I think you should live in the county a lot longer than that. So, all right, I'm gonna go mute so that I don't have you listening to this noise.
Okay, thanks, Ginny.
Thank you all.
All right. Sandy.
Okay, I am
Finances.
going to share the screen. We got our financials today. The CA board passed it at their late meeting in June. So this is our 4th quarter financials. And the bottom line is, well, in the last week of June and last week of April of this year, last week of our fiscal 22, the CA board gave all the villages extra money because they had gotten more of their assessment share from residents than they had in the past. So we got an additional $36,188 reflected where my cursor is. Can you all see that? So that added to our revenue for the year. Overall, for the year, we finished the year, which included the $36,000 with a year-to-date budget of $51,000 over budget. I mean, we had that much more revenue than expenses. And we are giving back to CA because of the 20% that they get back, $38,000. So it's pretty much what we got from them, even though the amount they gave us was excluded. When you do all the calculations to look at our excess cash reserve, we will be giving CA back $38,244 at the end of our year. Some notable things from the entire year's budget, which are variances. We did have a variance in the annual share, and that's because they gave all the villages more income. So that was a variance. We had an excess revenue, more revenue for leases and rentals at almost $46,000, which is great. When we did our budget, we didn't anticipate, we had no idea what the year would bring with COVID. So we went low on our estimate and wound up coming out with that much more money. For staff salaries, we were within $23,000. We still spent less than we had budgeted. That number will go up in the future because we're more fully staffed, and we are now, for safety and protection reasons, having 2 staff members at all of our parties, our biggest parties. So our salaries we've reflected it in our new budget. Our contract labor, we have spent less. Our bookkeeper currently spends less hours than our former bookkeeper doing our bookkeeping. And we spent more in, these are basically our staff that set up chairs in the courtyard for weddings, and other than Judd, do some setup and cleanup for us. Other business expenses, we've spent more. We bought everyone t-shirts and badges and a lot in October. So that accounted for spending more than we budgeted. Our insurance, again, we budgeted more than our insurance bills had come in. I think it was I over budgeted for workers' comp, and we wound up getting a rebate of around $2,000. We did not spend on outside printing because we did not have a contested election. So that saved us even more than $53,000. We've spent $10,000 more than budgeted in our donations and contributions because we did have money, even in excess of the $38,000 we're giving back, that we spent money to give back to our community. Utilities, we had a gas meter that we would have never known it, but wasn't recording our gas charges correctly for a while. So they came and replaced the meter, and now we're getting more accurately charged for BGE. But at first they wanted to back charge us for like 4 years, and I was able to get up to the top of whoever we needed to deal with the BGE. And they wiped away all those charges. It was not our fault that an old meter wasn't working and they didn't know it. So, but the extra costs are reflective of the gas costs. And furniture and fixtures, we did use some of the cash that we had this year to refit our kitchen and to get new window treatments for the upstairs. So those are the variances. And again, we will be returning to CA $38,000 $244, and that should then again be spent on an environmental project in Oakland Mills that could benefit all of Columbia. So does anybody have questions?
Any questions?
Jenny?
I mean, and board, if you want that condition on the money that it be used for environmental, and also maybe that it gets banked for Oakland Mills if you don't use what you had last year, because you want a bigger project or something, I think you should do a letter to the board on that. What?
Um,
The reason I'm saying that is there was some talk about, well, why allow this for one village? And we're trying to explain that what you do environmentally does benefit, downstream, et cetera. But there are some that may not want it used for that. And
Ginny, your sound cut out.
oh, I'm sorry, used for all of Columbia. There's some feeling about that. I don't know if you heard, I said if environmental thing here, yeah. So
I thought that's what was
so I-
passed, though.
that was passed before, and it was talked about a couple of months ago, is whether that still makes sense. And so it could come again in the budget.
I thought what I got from CA, when they recapped your vote at the end of June, was that the excess cash would be used with the same environmental purpose as last year, that they said that your board passed that.
Yeah, we won that one, but what I'm trying to say
She's saying
is,
about banking it.
yeah, and also there's stuff that keeps coming up in the budget because people want to change their mind or something. So I'm just saying, if you really like that idea, and also if you are not ready to use the previous money and you want to bank it, that's a new concept.
Yeah.
Which I support. I mean, you certainly shouldn't lose it. And you shouldn't be forced to do a minor little thing if you have something in mind that would cost $70,000 or something like that.
I think we should bring that back and discuss it. The immediate issue at hand is actually our financials, and our financial statement, not what's happening at CA. So I think what we need to do tonight is just make sure we approve our financials. And then I think we should have some discussion about whether we do want to take that position with CA, because I think there are pros and cons. I see a lot of pros, but then knowing what CA did with the contingency fund that we banked, I also am a little bit risk averse with letting CA bank too much money. But I think that's for a discussion for another day, because there's also some history that some of our newer board members may not be aware of.
I'll put that on a new business for another board meeting.
Yeah, I think we should definitely have the discussion.
Okay.
And yeah.
So I guess on this one, is there any more discussion? And if not, Jonathan, you'll have to call for a vote.
Yeah, is there a motion to approve the financials as revised? I'm gonna take Bill as the motion and Rebecca as the second, based on how quickly my eyes reacted. All right, any further discussion? Woo! All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Are you in favor, Rebecca?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I figured if you seconded the motion, you probably were, but I need I need to make sure. All right, so it's 4-0-0. No need to call for opposed or abstain, because that's everyone here. All right.
Okay, thank you. And again, that was last minute because I got them today. So in our building, when you go up the elevator and you want to go into the loft, when Ginny and Jonathan and Bill and I were looking at where to put a restroom, one of my biggest concerns being in that building, and Brigida's biggest concern, has been that upstairs elevator hall where there's no room for a wheelchair to get out of the elevator and maneuver into the loft. And there was no handicap door. So we talked to them maybe like 2 months ago, and they have now removed the door where it was. They've bumped it into the room where we had like a little alcove into the loft. It was about a 3-by-6 foot alcove. And they've put a new door, which is flush with the inside loft wall. So you have a big area to go into the loft, and there it will be a handicap access door with a push button. So it's all framed out. The door is there. And I think they're supposed to come on tomorrow and Thursday to do all the electrical wiring and stuff so that it's accessible. And that is a huge thing, because we were one step away from having someone in a wheelchair fall down those steps because of the way it was. So that is a huge improvement. And I'm really appreciative of CA for moving on it like immediately. So that was good. And Carla and Leo, who work for CA Construction, are probably the most awesome employees. They're just wonderful carpenters. And so kudos to them. They're wonderful. The restroom, they've shared all the designs with us. There will be like a privacy wall in the room, so you won't see anyone going in and out of the restroom, which was a big thing that we wanted, because that would just be terrible to open the restroom door into like your ballroom seating. And they're looking at potentially, if this is funded, when they can do it, which they have, we said we've already booked in May of 2024, but nothing until that May date. So they had said, well, we can block off January to mid-March of 2024 for the construction if it's funded. I mean, we can't keep waiting for it to be funded, because then we'll be into like 2025 and 26. So we have blocked that off. And what we'll do is we're going to kind of have a mock plan of what it looks like, because if someone rents the building, they need to know that when they come back in 2024 for their wedding, there's a bathroom upstairs. And people might like it, or some people might not. And we also will lose about 20 people in capacity, two round tables. So that is that. And then just to let you know, I'm going to speak at the CA board meeting, letting them know I'm the village manager, but as an individual, but on behalf of residents. And what the topic is, and the Alvies might join me in speaking out, is to ask CA if they would consider a way that you can memorialize individuals on a bench with a tree, whatever, on CA open space property. We've had residents who've lost a loved one who have called and said, is there any way to do that? And most recently I did call Dennis and was, there currently CA doesn't have a way that you could purchase a plaque, purchase a tree. And I think that as CA evolves as a community and the love for the open space, that I would like to, as a person, ask them to consider a program to memorialize individuals on CA open space. I mean, one click on the county website and you can buy a bench, you can plant the trees. It's a fully laid out program. And I think it would be wonderful for CA to start considering that. So I have a little speech, and Jim and or Cindy said they might actually speak too. So
I think it's a great idea. I know friends of ours did something for my mom in Centennial Park years ago. Yeah, it was a tree with a plaque. So yeah, I love the idea. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's time. And there's certainly like, I know that when Jim's son passed, it was like, he loved this tot lot here, or he, loved being at this lake. And there's benches around the lake and no plaques or anything. And so I just think it's time.
Yeah, I think the only thing CA's ever done is the bricks down at the lake.
Yeah.
But no, I like it. I think it's a great idea. So thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where it'll go, but I have to say it because it's been on my mind. And we're having our audit. Today was day 1. So it's going fine. And I think that's about it. Little Caesars has closed, even though there were 2 cars in the drive-in when I left today, but I think they just drove up. But I don't think they're open. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get away from audits, whether I'm at work or here. I'm being audited. All right. I know we have a closed session architecture issue, but Jerome, did you have anything for the open session? All right. Let's run through the bulletin board real quickly, and then we will put everyone but the board and the administrative staff in the waiting room for the closed session, and everyone's welcome to wait around to hear how the closed session went when we open it back up to close the meeting. So I'll start the bulletin board with Amy.
Nothing.
All right. Who do I see? Sandy?
Nothing.
Okay. Ginny?
No, thank you.
All right. Rebecca?
Yeah, real quick, just because Warren had to step out. I don't think he gave you the bike corral update.
No.
We had a super successful bike corral just last week. It feels like forever ago. We parked 70 bikes, which was more than last year. And Safa, thanks for coming by with Dr. Ball. That was really nice. And we, yeah, it was really well received, like last year. Everything went super smoothly. Everybody worked together. CA had a new event director this year, Kathy, I forget her last name, who made it even easier than it was last year. So, and we made our own racks. So Bike Coco is kind of now in charge of the bike corral. It's not just me and Warren randomly doing our own thing. And so Bike Coco is kind of now the contact and owns the bike racks. So you'll be seeing more of them, hopefully.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
great. It's growing. I also like how you personalize that message on social media. Come join me.
Well, I was there all day.
Yeah,
Yes.
Rebecca, I want to thank you for being so kind to Pat Gilreath and helping her out.
Oh yeah, I didn't understand when she came. She just started chatting, and then I realized that she was like expecting something from me, and I was like, "Oh, you're here to help." That was, yeah, it was great. We had a great variety of volunteers, which was cool.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Jerome.
Nothing for the group.
Okay, Bill.
Nothing.
All right, nothing from me. Okay, so that closes out the bulletin board. We do have a legal matter to discuss, and for that we require going into closed session. Is there a motion to go to closed session? Okay, there's a motion from Bill, second from Jerome. All in favor? Okay, 4-0. So it was Bill, Jerome. This was at 8:41. Sandy, can you a guest to the waiting room, please, while we handle the closed session business?
Amy, am I pausing the recording or stopping it?
You have to
Pause it,
pause
yeah.
it because I have to come out and admit everyone. Okay.
Oh, I thought you meant the recording.
Oh, yeah, I saw you did that. All
Yeah,
right.
I had to stop the share, otherwise they would have seen the.
Oh, yeah, thank you. All right, so we are finished with our closed session. The purpose of the closed session was to discuss removing the flag from a residential property that was not in compliance with our covenants and restoring the owner's access to CA facilities and programs. And the architecture committee meeting in the closed section did vote in favor of doing that. So that's the outcome of the closed session, and that is the last item on our agenda. So we are adjourned. Thank you very much.